Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tim, and today I'm continuing my playthrough of Skies Above Britain. We are up to the penultimate patrol, Chapter 4, Patrol number 7. I do have one correction to make from the last episode. I talked about it and then I never ended up rolling for to see if we got a replacement for Hooley. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that now to see if we should have gotten a replacement from the last patrol. And then depending on what we get for random event, well, and whether or not he actually gets replaced or not too, we may get to roll again to see if he gets replaced for this patrol. So this is what I should have rolled for at the beginning of the last patrol to see if we got a replacement for Hooley. If we did, then I wouldn't have had to fly a fatigued Grant, but that's okay. All right, so we're only down one pilot, so we need a 9 or higher to get a replacement. So we did not get it, so no harm, no foul there. Like I said, we'll hopefully remember this time to roll for him. We just got so involved with the resolving that night duty event and taking care of all of our pilot assignments and all that to figure out who was going to go on night patrol that I forgot to roll for our replacement. So here's the roll for this random event for this patrol. And 3 is going to be new men. All right, perfect. So if I remember correctly, that means we get to roll. Normally it means you get 2 replacements instead of 1, but when you're using the graduated replacements option, something's stuck in the pages of the rule book here, or the optional rules book. But when you're using the graduated replacements, it means that you get to roll 2 dice and select one of the numbers, which obviously you would select the higher number, I think. All right, so once again, rolling on our pilot replacement table. And we'll just roll both dice, and if either of them are a 9 or higher, then we'll get a replacement for Hooley. And yes, boom. So let me figure out who we want that to be, or what we want his name to be at least. We've got C, H, J, K, and L to choose from. So let me go have a think, and we'll come up with a name. All right, I decided to go with a K name this time. And it's going to be Kirkland. Get his counter here. And of course, he's going to start off as a green pilot and will remain a green pilot since we've only got a couple more patrols to go. We'll put it underneath him. All right. So next, I think we want to sort out our pilot situation. So Merrington is no longer fatigued. These 4 guys are no longer fatigued. We've got Irwin and Osgood, our fresh new aces, ready to go out this time. Let's see who is fatigued. Of course, we got 4 that went into the hospital, so we won't have to worry about them if they were fatigued. Which looks like Ald was one of them. He's in the hospital. Birtwistle is fatigued, so I'll move him up to the fatigued veterans. Ellsworth is in the hospital. Grant is fatigued. Regular pilot. Yeah, actually, he was already fatigued, so we definitely need to sit him this time. And let's see who else. Pertwee is fatigued. He's in the hospital. Rathbone is fatigued. So we'll go in the veteran fatigue box. And Tremble, one of our regulars. And that's it. So we've got 4 fatigued, 4 in the hospital. Which means of our 16 pilot roster, we've only got 8 available to us. So we're going to have to fly someone fatigued to be able to do our... Well, actually, no. We want to try out... I was kind of hoping to be able to do it with full 3 sections, though. I wonder if maybe we should wait till next time. I guess we could do it both. Because I want to try out the advanced formation using Osgood's innovator skill. Let's see, if we wait until next time, the only one that's going to end up flying 2 patrols in a row this time would be Upchurch, because he's the only one left that flew in the last patrol. We could field 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we could do 2 sections of 4 without flying any fatigued pilots, which means next time Upchurch will be the only one that's fatigued. And we could fly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We could fly Upchurch fatigued, assuming we don't lose anyone, and assuming that, or hopefully we might get 1 or 2 back from the hospital too, so that might alleviate some of the need to fly Upchurch again. Yeah, you know what? Let's finish out both of these last 2 patrols with this advanced squadron thing. So we're going to flip this board over. Let me do that here real quick. All right, so here is the advanced squadron display. Usable only when you have an ace with the innovator skill. So we won't have a yellow section now. It's just going to be red, green, and blue. And it looks like you can't split these into flights either. So it's either everyone together or 3 independent sections. But I suppose, you know, even in the other one, you could break off 1 section and then have the other flight and section together, just represented by the squadron marker. So I assume you could do the same here. Yeah, and then this also opens up the break veteran privilege, which I think this is the basic form of it. We're actually using the advanced rules for break, so if that comes into play, we'll see how that works. But basically, it's when you're tailed, you can break the section into 2 parts, each its own section, roll a die. So if a section is being involved in a dogfight and they're being tailed, you can split them into two parts, so 2 separate sections of 2 fighters each. And then, like I said, this is the basic way it's implemented, but there's a little more, there's more results than just even odd when you use the optional rule for break. So if we ever have a section being tailed, we might be able to take advantage of that. All right, so let's see who's going to lead this stuff. I think it's only appropriate that Osgood be one of the section leaders, since this is all his idea. We'll make him green section leader. We'll leave Upchurch as red section leader. But then, yeah, we've got, we're only going to probably fly red and green sections this time. So let's put Merrington here. We'll put our other ace in with Upchurch. And we'll just fill out like this. And we'll give our green pilot, let's actually put him in red 4 over here. Actually, let's put Merrington over here. So we've got 3 veterans in each section. Let's do it like that. All right. So let's record that. We have Kirkland flying. We have Northcott. We have Upchurch. We have Irwin. We have Fitzroy. Osgood. Doggett. And Merrington. Okay, all set there. Let's roll for our hospitalized guys. We'll start with Ald. See if we can get Stu out of the hospital. And a 7. Pretty sure that means he's staying. Yeah, we need a 9 or higher, but don't want a 3 or less. We'll try Mr. White next. And he's staying. And then Pertwee. That's a 6. Thought it might have been a 9 there for a second. And last but not least, Ellsworth. Oh, he makes it out. All right, so Ellsworth is back to duty, but cannot fly this patrol. We'll have him for the final patrol. All right, let's get our raid vector markers out. Don't even have to look at the chart. 44211. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 1. And 1. Right, let's see where we're going to start. 1 to 8, we're deep. 9 to 12, we're middle. Open for that middle. Nope, 6. Starting deep. And for visibility and sun position, again, red die for visibility. 8 is going to be haze with sun, and a 6 means the sun will be at port. So haze, sun, sun at port. All right. I think we're forgetting anything this time. Let's get started. With the reveal step of the raid vector sequence. straggler, ignoring that. Let's see, we just need red and green fuel cubes this time. So fuel step, spend a fuel. Cannot make contact, no raid marker yet. Vector step with escort exit, but no escorts to check yet. So back to reveal. Oh, sorry. We can move and or change altitude in the vector step. Almost forgot a key step in there. No pun intended. We're going to do both. We're going to move and change altitude. So we spent a fuel for that. Now back to the reveal step. There we have it. Raid result. So raid marker comes out. However, it is not clear visibility, so we don't get to see the escorts yet. One flak. Hurricane side, it's going to be a wing with possible catastrophic effect. We'll put that on the tile stack again so we don't forget. And then again, we have a tally-ho opportunity here. Spend a fuel to make contact, or just spend a fuel and then make contact. So either way is the same. We'll just not tally-ho. We'll spend our fuel in the fuel step, and then we will make contact. So this time we are high and we don't have the -1 for clouds. So we will get a +1 modifier for this. Again, in the same zone. Unfortunately, we again don't know where the escorts are yet though, so we'll find out after we make contact. So +1 to this roll. Ooh, nice, 13. So we can choose to come in nose low or flank low or nose high, or by spending a fuel, or spend a fuel and come in out of the sun instead, which would be port high. I'm thinking nose high is going to be our best for because we're wanting to maximize disruptions here, and you get the highest chance of disrupting coming in from the nose. And again, if we knew where the escorts were, we could have decided to split the formation now and have one section come in from one position and the other section come in from another position. But since we don't know anything about that, I think we'll just keep everybody together. And we're going to spend the fuel and come in nose high. All right, so now that we know that, where we're coming in at, we can roll for the escorts. And we're kind of hoping at nose high, anything but ahead. We don't want them to be ahead. Which means we don't want a 1 to 2, or, well, we don't want 1 to 4, and I think that's it. So as long as we roll higher than a 4, we'll be in good shape, I think. right, so ahead, port, and starboard. Oh boy. All heavies, all 109s. All right, well, we have 2 veteran section leaders, so we can add +2 to our roll if needed. So that's one disadvantage of the advanced formation, is you don't have as many section leaders, so you don't get as much from your pluck skill. All right, so now we need to determine, do we want to try to suppress this ahead station and only send 4 bombers or 4 fighters into the bomber formation area? So if we don't get that 10, we got 2 shots at it, then each of our sections is going to get jumped by escorts. So even though I hate only sending 4 fighters in, I think it probably makes sense to do that. Let's see what our chances of, well, the good thing, and here's the plus side of using the advanced squadron formation, is we'll be sending 4 fighters in, so we get to use the middle column as if we had sent 2 sections. Which I think this is actually an issue on the, I don't know, I've been watching Grant's videos, as I said, and he uses those turn sequence cards that Gina had made up. And one of the problems on those cards is this doesn't say 2 to 3 fighters, 4 to 7 fighters, 8 or more fighters. It says 1 section, 2 sections, 3 sections. So if you were going by that, you might mistakenly think you're supposed to use this column in this instance. But we want to use this middle column here if we're going to do this. So, and they're heavy, so we need a 5 to suppress, 9 to reduce and suppress. So yeah, I think we need to do that. Unfortunately, but hey, it might be a chance to utilize Upchurch's ace skill here, because we'll send red section after the escorts. That way they can automatically succeed on a chase if they need to. We're going to split into red and green section here. And we'll give red section an escort order. And we'll give green section a bomber's order. And we're sending them after the, nope, not that one, after the ahead station. So we've dropped out here because we made contact. So we're in the orders phase. We gave our orders. Now we resolve the escort order first. So red section will go lost contact. And get a, or make an interception check, I should say, first. See if we get a Luftwaffe advantage or an RAF advantage. We're coming in nose high against the ahead station, so we got a pretty good chance at a an RAF advantage. So we need a 6 or higher. We can spend a fuel to re-roll it. Not sure if that would be worth it, but we'll see what happens. We got a 2. Yeah, why not? Let's spend a fuel. Re-roll that. Oh, just missed it. Well, we could use pluck, right? that important. Yeah, let's do it. So we'll use, do we want to keep his, to be able to do a maneuver maybe. We might be able to take advantage of break here though too, so. Yeah, let's just leave it. We'll go with the Luftwaffe Advantage card. It is a heavy escort, so we're going to be tailed by a swarm of 109s. All right, so looks like we need to read up on break and see what if that's something we might want to do here. I think we will, just because we can. I like to try out things, even if they're not the most strategic or tactical. So let me check that out and come back. All right, I've reviewed the rules for break. So before we get into this, just want to go over that. So this is the normal break rules. So again, once you have an innovator ace skill, you can use the advanced squadron display. It says organizing the squadron into 3 sections of 4 RAF fighters. I'm assuming you're also allowed to do it as 2 sections if you don't have enough for 3, as is the case with us. And then this adds a new veteran privilege to the veteran privilege pool called break. And so any veteran may use this privilege as long as their section currently has 4 fighters and is tailed, which is the situation we have now. To use break, the innovator ace must begin the patrol as squadron leader, which he did. But if he RTBs or is in a fate box, veteran section leaders may still use break. So as long as you were able to launch using the advanced squadron display, even if the quote-unquote squadron leader, i.e. the veteran that has the innovator skill, is gone, other veteran section leaders still have access to this privilege. All right, so how does it work? When a section is tailed, before drawing a tailed dogfight card, you may immediately break the section into 2 pairs. It can't, it did mention over here that it can only be used if your section has 4 fighters. So it has to be a complete section of 4 fighters to use this. You break into 2 pairs. Each pair composes its own element. It's treated as a section for the purposes of the dogfight cards. They have these extra larger sized cubes that can be used to track the fuel separately for those 2 elements if necessary. And when you use the break privilege, you roll a die and you get normally one of 2 results here, which we'll look at that briefly here just so you know what if you're not using the advanced or the optional break rule, how it works. So if you roll even, you replace the Luftwaffe fighter marker with 2 lesser markers. So if it were a swarm, like in the example they show, they had a swarm, but it only had 3 fighters in it. So it splits into a rota and then a reduced rota, so that they still just have 3 fighters left. Place 1 element behind one of the Luftwaffe fighter markers so that it is tailing it while the other element is tailed. So this is the even result they're showing down here. So we are tailing one of the markers and then being tailed by the other. I would have probably reversed those if it were me, but a lone German fighter can't break. Instead, treat it as a slip result. So if this had just been a single fighter, it sounds like you would, instead of breaking, you would use this privilege, but it would basically convert to a slip. So one fighter would slip behind the lone German fighter. Odd is the same as even, except both elements get tailed, so as they show here. So that's normally, these are the only two options you have when you invoke break. However, we're using the optional break rules, and so it gets a little more, basically more combinations of things that can happen. It does add a modifier of +1 if you're being tailed by 110s. And so if we roll a 1 or 2, then we're both tailed, but also one pilot takes a hit. If we roll a 3 to 4, same thing, but only a green pilot would take a hit. If we roll a 5, they vanish, but then both elements become lost contact, which in our case, we're already lost contact anyway because we're executing an escort order. 6 to 10 would be the case where one tails us and the other is being tailed by us. And then 11 or higher, we actually get to tail both of them. So that's how the break works. So we're going to go ahead and invoke that here. We're going to need to roll a die. I guess I should keep that chart out. And we have it conveniently duplicated on the back of the optional book along with the replacement table and the random events. So let's see what result we get. So these are not 110s, so we don't get the +1 modifier. And we got a 2, so we're going to be tailed. Both elements are going to be tailed, and a random pilot is going to take a hit. So let's see who gets the hit. It's a 9. So on the advanced display, we've got a little bit different distribution here. 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9. So red leader is going to take the hit. And it's a fuselage 7. And then these two will split off. These two will split off. And then this will get replaced by 2 rotas. And each element is being tailed. Okay. Not the ideal result we would have liked. We'll go ahead and, just in case we need it, we'll add the large red fuel cube to the fuel track. The larger one will represent leader and 2, and the smaller one will represent 3 and 4. Okay, so we'll start here, I guess. We do not have, this element does not have a damage marker, so is allowed to evade, or a hit marker, I should say. So I think, and I guess now, since yellow 3, well, see, that's that question we had before too, where if you lose your leader, can one of the other veterans take over as section leader? And, you know, for purposes of some of these privileges that require the section leader to be a veteran. These are now separate elements. This is still technically our section leader here. But would Northcott now be considered an element leader and be able to take advantage of his privileges? I don't know. It's kind of a gray area. Jerry didn't really have a definitive answer on that. He said you can kind of do whatever you think makes best sense for narrative purposes. But I guess we'll see if it comes to that. I mean, here we could do a turn and then, use his privilege to make it a tight turn or a pull tight. To make it a tight turn result, even if there wasn't one. Well, I think what we're going to do in this case is go ahead and perform a let's try a slip. They're going to attempt a slip. We draw one tailed card, and it's section against 109s. So we did not get the slip. Now again, if we treat him now as quote unquote element leader and say that he can use the, practiced maneuver, we could replace the results with a slip. Otherwise, we're looking at a vanish, a hit, and spend a fuel. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and rule in this situation that he's basically taken over as leader of this element. And going to assume that this is something that they've practiced, this break maneuver, splitting into two elements. So Northcott would be trained in being able to take over as element leader when this happens. So we're going to replace this with a slip result, which means we'll go ahead and have him be the one that slips behind. So he's used his privilege. They're now two independent fighters, and he has slipped behind them. Let me just make sure I've done that correctly, because I don't do slip very often. All right, so it's section only. In this case, element. No effect unless slip icon. The icon appears, which we've made it appear basically. One RAF fighter is immediately placed so it is tailing the Luftwaffe fighter marker. Then the German pilots break off their pursuit as they attempt to evade the RAF fighter tailing them. The newly tailing RAF fighter becomes lost contact, which they already are, so that doesn't matter. That was a clarification that was added after the game had already been published. All right, so I think we got this right. So they have now slipped behind, so we are now tailing them. So we could let them go, but I think we'll see if we can try to take one of them out. So we're now tailing, and we're an independent fighter. So they get an S result. So what is an S result? That is a German split. So it splits into two markers, and now one tails your fighters. So they've basically performed a slip on us. Except we don't necessarily let the one in front of us go. We have that option, of course. Okay, so that was all round one of the dogfight. Because we would have done head on first, then tailed, which we resolved, and then we ended up tailing someone, so that was still round one. And then this is the results of that. So now we're getting ready to enter round two of the dogfight. So we will start with, there's no head on, so we'll go to the tailing. And in this case, if we choose to perform a maneuver, we automatically let the one that we're tailing go, which I think we'll do. So we're going to go ahead and do a turn. So we let that one go. And we draw a tailed card. And here and here, no turn result. We've already used our privilege. We're not in a section anyway, so I don't think he could use that. So they get reduced and we take a hit. So they're going to go away, but we get hit. And that hit is a fuselage 6. So now we can resolve that. Trivial. And he will just stay here. That whole section is marked lost contact, so we don't need to move them anywhere else. But they are 2 independent fighters now. All right, so now we can go back and finish resolving this. So I think, let me think about this. So our initial round 1, so actually that was round 2 and 3 over here, now that I think about it. Because our round 1 combat was us being tailed by the swarm. We did the break, which resulted in them. No, I guess that's not considered a round of combat. That's just a maneuver that you're performing prior to the round of combat. So I think this is still considered resolving round 1 of this element's dogfight. So we don't do the hit check yet, which means we cannot maneuver. So we just draw a tailed card and see what happens to us. And we are a section. So a green pilot goes loose. Our only green pilot was over here in red 4. So we just take a hit. And so, well, this hit had been specifically assigned to, actually, I guess we were supposed to randomize that, weren't we? Oh, we did that, right. We randomized who got that hit already. So now we need to randomize a hit between just these 2. So it'll be even odd. It's getting a little bit confusing here with this break maneuver thrown in. So it's going to be red 2 gets this hit. And it is a wing 5. And nothing else happens. So we're still being tailed by, no, it's not that card. It's this card. That was it. Green pilot goes loose and a hit. So we're still being tailed by the Rota. But now it is the end of the first round, so we do our hit checks. And we've got a fuselage 7 and a wing 5. So we'll do the red die for the fuselage 7 and blue die for the wing 5. So this one failed. The wing 5 is trivial. So red leader, Upchurch, goes to the fuselage fate box. So I guess we won't get to use his ace privilege. And this one was trivial, but now he's still being tailed by a Rota. So, what do we want to do? Let's go ahead and try turning for this. And no such luck. Green Pilot takes a hit and reduced. So at least nothing bad happened to us. So now we go to third round. I think this time we don't push our luck. Let's just go ahead and evade. We know we can get rid of them then. And hopefully can choose a result that doesn't affect us. Yep. So we'll go with the Green Pilot hit, which has no effect. And we get the automatic reduction because we evaded. So that'll wrap that one up. So all three of these end up being lost contact independent fighters. And we'll just leave them on there for the time being. I'm going to go ahead and move this onto here so that we remember that red 4 is a Green Pilot. All right, Irwin's an ace too. He could have canceled a result with his Lucky Charm. Didn't need to though. All right, that will do it, I think, for resolving our escort order. So now we check for escort suppression. Unfortunately, we were not able to down a German fighter, so we don't get the modifier. But we sent 4 fighters after a heavy station, so we need a 5 to what am I trying to say? We need a 5 to suppress, a 9 to reduce and suppress. So now here's an interesting question. So pluck on a suppress, you can use that on a suppress escort check. And we've already determined that even if the leader is no longer, like if the section got broke up because of the results of the dogfight, that he can still use that for the escort suppression check. As long as he was the section leader was a veteran when it was a section. But I wonder if that also applies now that he's in a fate box but hasn't used his veteran privilege. Could we still take advantage of his pluck to try to reduce that? That's an interesting question. I don't know that I'm going to find an answer to it, but let's see what we can find here. Suppress escort. We're making a suppress escort check after completing a dogfight at the end of an. I guess I can show you what I'm reading. This is in the section on pluck. Add +1 to the die roll. The pilot must be section leader and must have been involved in the dogfight. If more than one section was involved in the order and more than one had a veteran pilot as their section leader, you may combine this privilege. And I guess technically it doesn't say, because it says he must be section leader. But I think I've ruled when we had this situation come up before that even though like he had gotten a loose result, I think, or something, he was section leader at the beginning. But I'm thinking that maybe with him getting sent to a fate box, that might be pushing it a little bit to say he can still use his pluck for the suppression check. I don't know. I mean, we're rolling it after the fact, but basically we're seeing how effective our dogfighting with them was, if it managed to keep them tied up long enough to have them basically not interfere with the other group that's trying to intercept the bombers. I mean, that's what it's representing, right? And I mean, so he was involved in the dogfight, so his pluck could potentially give him that extra edge needed. Yeah, I'm thinking we allow it now that I talk it through. All right, so let's see if we need that or not. So we're looking for a 5 or better to at least get the suppression. It's only a 2, so it's not going to matter. Even if we used his pluck, suppression was unsuccessful. That's a shame. I guess these guys should have come off here once we resolve their order. All right, so no suppression, so we may, we're gonna have a tough time, I think, getting in at these bombers now. Let's go back to our interception chart. And we're coming in from nose high, but we have an escort station in the ahead and both starboard and port. So we got to go with the 10. So we need a 10 or higher to intercept the bombers. We do get a re-roll by spending a fuel. But, yeah. Not looking that great odds here. So let's see if we can make it happen, though. So we need a 10 or better. Woohoo, we got it. Nice. Okay, so bombers have been contacted. Actually, were we supposed to... I think I might have messed up here. We were supposed to, because we didn't have the clouds exception, we were supposed to put out our bomber formation as soon as we made contact. Yeah, we remembered to do the escorts, but we didn't do the bomber formation. So let's go ahead and do that now. This should have actually happened when we made contact. So let me find the scenario card again. There it is. So once again, red die for bomber type, blue die for formation. We got an 8, which is going to be Heinkel's, and a 10 is going to be this 6-tile configuration. I was hoping maybe we could get another one with 8 or 9 tiles in it, but at least this one, all we got to do is isolate these 2 tiles, and we got 6 points. And we're coming in from the nose, so this should be a piece of cake. Because there are very high chances of disruption results coming in from the nose. All right, so let me get that set up. All right, so here we go. I went ahead and brought the fighters in as well, coming in from the nose. So let's decide how we want to do these. We probably want to focus on this tile mostly. Have a couple up here, maybe 3 just to be ultra safe, and then resolve this one first. But we also have this flak marker that we got to see where it's going to go and if it's going to destroy a bomber or not. What do we got here? We've got 6 tiles, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then the blue die will be which bomber on the tile it is. I know it doesn't really matter which one it is, but I still rolling to see. All right, so it's going to be the lead Keta, and a 6 is going to put it on the lead bomber of the lead Keta. All right, now let's see if it's catastrophic. We need an 11 or higher. It is not. All right. Now, even though that's here, I think it still makes sense to do this one first. Or does it? I guess maybe now it makes sense to concentrate more on this tile. Just put a couple there, 2 or 3 there, so that all of this plus that marker is counting for this attempt. And then if that works, it isolates these 3. And then we still got this marker working for us to try to isolate up here. So yeah, I think that makes more sense now that I think about it. All right, we don't have any green pilots here, so we don't need to worry about keeping them with a veteran. What am I doing? Blue section's not even flying. So it's just these 4. Yikes. So it might be a little tougher to get all these isolated. So we definitely do want to make this count for both attempts. But I'm thinking maybe we only, well, it's risky only sending 1 after that though, because we really want this to isolate because that'll give us 3 points. If we get this one but not that one, then we're only getting 1 point. Man, this is a tough decision here. Do we just send everything after this one this time around, and then in the second round work on isolating that one? Maybe that's the better play. Because with only 5, not sure how many of the approaches from the nose. I think every single approach from the nose does give an isolation result. It's just a matter of what the numbers are. Not sure how many of them only require 5 or fewer. Yeah, I think we'll not take our chances here. Try to make sure we at least get 3 points. So we're going to put everybody down here, and we'll spread them out as much as possible to minimize the chance of knocking someone out that has damage markers on them. All right, so let's start with green leader over here. Coming in from the nose, and we're coming in nose high, so we're not suffering the nose low penalty, which is no disruption in the first round. So there we go, 4, nice. Not a green pilot, goes low ammo, but we do isolate the tile. I guess we should have taken the risk, huh? Hindsight's 20/20. All right, well, that's 3 Ketan isolated. 3 points here right off the bat. Chapter 4, Patrol 7. 3 isolated Ketan. All right, and that was all for him. So we'll go with green 4 next. Ooh, yeah, see, we might not have gotten it. That one needs 9. Return, oh no, we're on an isolated tile now, sorry. So we had a damage, return fire, and falls out with 4. So that is going to happen. So we'll replace that with a fallen marker. Get a lone Heinkel over here. These are the Heinkels. And a a damage and return fire. And green 4 is Merrington, so he's just a regular pilot. All right, our damage. Oh, look at that, a cockpit hit. Nice. So Merrington scores a bomber kill. It's his first. Go along with his 1 escort kill that he has. So this can flip over to destroyed. This can go away. And he gets a return fire though. Oh, that's a mechanical failure. So let's see. That's either lost contact or RTB, but I don't remember which is which. It doesn't say on the board. So look here. Mechanical failure, even, lost contact, odd, RTBs. So he's going to be lost contact. You know what, we'll just set him over on the board in the rarely used lost contact area. All right. Next is green 3. See, that one would have done it only on a 3. So, yeah, we could have gotten away with just a few on there. That's all right. Green pilot takes a hit, not green. Damage, and then that's going to give us our 5 that we need for that one to distress. Let's draw our damage marker first. It's a wing. That gives us our 5, so another one has fallen, which means this other one is also now a lone bomber. Actually, don't even need this. Just get rid of this tile altogether. And replace it with 2 lone bombers. Okay, that's all for his card. And then lastly, we have green 2. Now on the bottom row from the nose, ooh, not so good. Green pilot takes a hit, he's not, and then just a collision check. So while we want to get bomber kills, this isn't the way we want to get them. Okay, no collision. All right, then we disengage. If we were on the tail, we could remain engaged, but we are not. So everyone will disengage. There are no hit checks to perform. So now I think we just see if we can get this isolated. It's too bad we had to lose green 4, but so be it. So we finished resolving our bomber order. So now we go to the entropy phase, back to the bomber formation area for another round. And we're going to go like this, go like this, and go like this. Like I said, all we're trying to do is isolate these. If we get a lucky shot and destroy a bomber as well, that's fine, but our main priority here is to isolate. And if we ganged up on one, again, we run the risk of, it getting knocked out or something, and then no more isolation attempts. All right, so we're gonna go start with green 2 here. And we're now on top row, but starboard or port this time. So we need 8. We only have 4. This will make 5, so no isolation there. But we do get a damage, and he goes low ammo. And again, we're hoping this doesn't knock him out, because we want that fighter to still count toward isolation results. Oh, and it does. Darn it. So that one falls out. We replace with a fallen marker. And we're back to only having 4 again. Which, I mean, can happen. We haven't seen one yet. But there are, pretty sure there's some from the starboard that go as low as 4. And again, every single card has a disruption result from starboard. So we just got to get one with the right numbers. All right, let's try green 3 next. Oh, man, that would have gotten it too. If he'd have stayed up there with us, we're going to be 1 short. So again, low ammo and damage, but no disruption. And if this drops him out, then we're really going to be very unlikely for our last try. It does not. Oops. Then lastly, we have green leader. Okay, we've got still top row. Hey, look at that. 4. Perfect. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't care that we didn't get any hits or anything. Very nice that we didn't get return fire. That's going to isolate these 3 tiles. So 3 more. 1, 2, 3 gives us 6 isolated Ketan, 1 destroyed bomber as a bonus. Wasn't really expecting that, but hey, take what we get, right? All right, that's it for this burst step. They all disengage. And we go to escort reaction. Boom, boom, boom. Now for the bad news. I like to see that no ambush there. We've got no clouds, so we don't need to worry about cloud escape. Help arrives. 2 from port, 2 from starboard. None from ahead. All right, but we only have 3 fighters in the bomber formation area, so you can't draw more cards than you have fighters, although you can have the same fighter get more than 1 card. So we will only have 3 cards to deal with. And I'm just going to put this back now because there's nothing else we're going to need to do. The only reduction is in the high station, which isn't there. No one's moving, no ambush. So once we resolve these 3, that's done. They're all going to be 109s, and they're all going to be from heavy stations. So it doesn't matter which card is from which station. So let's see who our first victim is. Divide by 4. 6 is going to be the middle one. We do still have some ammo, so we could try to take some guys out here if we so desire. Just make a little extra room here. All right, Hunt in the Sun. It is, oh, I guess we do need to know which station these are from. My bad. So we have 2 coming from here and 2 coming from here. Now I generally work top to bottom for stuff like this. So I would have said the first 2 are coming from this station and the third is coming from that station. I don't know how you prioritize when you don't have enough cards to draw. I know you prioritize 109s over 110s, but then, kind of what's the tiebreaker after that? I don't think the rules address that at all. Let's just have a quick look here. In case we need to prioritize stations that are in the sun or something like that, or prioritize heavy over light. I could see heavy over light making sense. What are we looking for? We're in the... Here, it's here. Chase. Escort reaction card. So for help arrives, it says, if a card icon appears in a station occupied by an unsuppressed escort station marker, draw a Luftwaffe advantage card, blah, blah, blah. We know all that. Starting with 109 escort station markers. Well, they both are. So we could start with whichever one we want, I guess. Immediately draw a Luftwaffe advantage card for each card icon and apply each card to one RAF fighter. Select RAF fighters randomly and we'll select the marker. Regardless of the number of cards, do not draw more than there are RAF fighters. When a fighter is engaged by German fighters, yeah, we know that. And it talks about all this. Okay, I think this is one of those cases where the rule is hidden in the example. So let's look at this example. The player must draw one for 109s and 2 for 110s. If there are only 2 RAF fighters, the player would draw only 1 card for the 110 escort station marker. The heavy escort shifts. Yeah, and it talks about shifting and all that. So yeah, somewhere. Oh, I guess because it says this, starting with 109 escort station markers. So that's what tells you that you prioritize 109s over 110s. But in this case, they're both 109s. They're both heavy. The only difference is one is in the sun and one is not. I guess maybe we should randomize it. That's probably the fairest way to do it. So we'll actually roll for, until one of them has 2, but we'll roll to see which escort station this is coming from. I think that's the most fair way to do it. So if it's even, it will be in the sun. If it's odd, it will be not in the sun. In the sun. All right. So this one is coming from the port, so we can only get 1 more from there. So we're being tailed by a swarm and head on with a rota. Oh boy. Let's see if maybe we can at least pick one of these guys off coming at us from the front. We'll start with the head-on. 109s were a lone fighter, and no such luck, unless we collide. So they vanish, collision check, and a hit. So we'll take our hit. Wing 5. We'll do our collision check. No collision. They vanish. All right. Now we're being tailed, but we have a hit marker, so we cannot maneuver. Felt like 2 cards. We're down here in this corner. Lone fighter and 109s, so they vanish, and we take another hit. who is this? Just out of curiosity. Green 2 is Fitzroy. He's a veteran, but he doesn't have any ace skill, so nothing to help out here. Ooh, that one's bad. All right, these guys vanish. And we need a 5 for that wing to be trivial, and we need a 10 for that elevator to be trivial. So red die, blue die. Nope, neither one. So we're going to say we checked this first, so he's going to the wing fate box. And that was Fitzroy. Still has his privilege, so might need to use it for his fate check. All right, these can go back. Still got 2 more of these things to deal with. All right, so let's see which fighter it's going to be, even, odd. It is Green Leader. Now let's see which escort station this one's coming from. So again, even will be port, which is in the sun. Odd will be starboard. So this is the last one to come from port. The last one will be from the starboard station. This will not apply, so we're just tailed by a swarm. Just tailed by a swarm. Yeah, let's try to turn into him. Look at that. Green pilot takes a hit. He's not green. He's actually a veteran. That's Osgood. That's our innovator. So very innovative maneuver there, Mr. Osgood. Unfortunately, it doesn't do anything about them, so they're still tailing us. So that means we are now lost contact. He is. We aren't. Yeah, let's try turn again. Nope, not this time. Hit and reduced. Rudder 7. Do that hit check. Pluck cannot be used for hit checks, right? Nope. No. So to the rudder box with Osgood. Still has his privilege. All right, I'm picking us apart here. Got 1 fighter left. This will be the starboard 109 station, so it is heavy but not in the sun. Ooh. So again, tailed by a swarm, head on with a rota. Head on lone, or 109's lone fighter. Hey, look at that. They vanish. We go low ammo, and we take one of them out. So green 3, which is Doggett, gets an escort kill. That's the first of the patrol, which is the first one we've gotten since we last scored escort kills. And Doggett, that gives him 3 escort kills. So 1 more and he'll have a confirmed kill for ace purposes, although he doesn't have any bomber kills yet. So don't think he'll be making ace. And then this vanishes. Then we still got to deal with what's behind us. And I think at this point, the smart thing to do with no ammo is going to be to evade. And we take a hit or we take a hit. I guess we're taking a hit. We do get the automatic reduction though for the evade maneuver. Engine 5, surely that will prove to be trivial. And it is not. That was an engine. Got them all over the place here. And that was... All right, yeah, he went and lost contact. That's why he's still there. That was Doggett. Okay, well, that's going to do it for escort reaction. That was quite the reaction they made. Quite good for them, quite bad for us. That's going to take us to the chase step. I see no reason to have Merrington try to take on all this by himself, so he's just going to RTB. And that takes us to patrol complete, and yes, oh, sorry, these guys are all lost contact too. Likewise, I mean, we could have them try to chase too, I guess, but I don't think we want to try to fool around with that, so they're just going to RTB. Put this back under. What is his name? Kensington? Kirkland. All right, Kensington was one I was considering. Kirkland. So these will all go here on the RTB track. And now, patrol complete, yes. So, let's see what happens to everyone. What happened to everyone. Slide this down again to make it easier for me to reach. These can all go back. All right. They all have their privilege, so they can use their pluck if necessary. No one is green. All right, so let's start over here with Upchurch. Red die, initial result. Blue die if necessary. You got a 9, which is good enough to land. Good job, Upchurch. All right, Fitzroy. See if you can do the same. He also he needs a 9 or higher. Upchurch only needed an 8 or higher. 6, no. So 6 will be a crash, but an 11 is a successful bailout. So he will go to the bailout box, which means he won't be available for the last patrol. Doggett needs a 10 or higher. Just keeps getting tougher. Ooh, a 1 is a fire, and 4, ooh, he's dead. Doggett. He's been around for a while. He wasn't one of our initials, but Yeah, he's been around since the beginning of chapter 3. He flew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 patrols plus a night patrol. That's a shame. Over to the KIA box for Doggett. And then lastly, we have Osgood with some rudder issues. Fortunately, he only needs a 7 or more to land this. Ooh, he crashes, but a 4 means he bails out. Oh, but that means he's not going to be available for our last patrol. We can't use the advanced display. That's a bummer. I was hoping to be able to get a full 12 using that advanced display for our last patrol. That's quite disappointing. All right, that will conclude Patrol 7. So let's see again how we did. So we had 1 escort kill, 1 bomber kill with a lucky cockpit shot, 6 Ketan isolated, total of 7 points. However, we had 2 bailouts, no one wounded, and 1 KIA for Mr. Doggett. We'll need to scratch him off of our roster. With his 3 escort kills, he just got his 3rd too. All right. Oh, and speaking of roster, so while I was had a break in recording this episode, I was watching Grant's latest video, and he was talking about the graduated replacements optional rule and how that it kind of affects. He could see how it would make someone more cautious, because I've been kind of urging caution with him when he's letting his patrol chase the raid out over the channel on the way back home. But it's working out for him. He hasn't. I think he only had 1 guy that had to bail out over the channel and then was lost. But yeah, he was reading through this, and I hadn't noticed this before. But over here it talks about figuring out your pilot deficit, and it says to subtract. You count all your pilots, including those in the bailout box in the hospital, and then subtract that from the maximum number of pilots. And then it says in chapters 1 and 2, that's 20. And in chapter 3, it's 18. And I was like, wait a minute. Was I only supposed to use 18 pilots in chapter 3? I don't remember seeing that. So I went back and looked in the situation manual for chapter 3. And no, it says, like, if you're starting here with the campaign, you get 20 pilots and you can only field 12 at a time. Same as chapter 1 and chapter 2. Whereas in chapter 4, which we knew, you're down to only 16 pilots. So I was like, I wonder if this is wrong or if the optional rule is wrong. So I was getting ready to post a question on Board Game Geek, and I was like, I should see if someone's already asked this. They probably have. And sure enough, Con, who's quite active on the Skies Above Britain board, had asked this a while back, and Gina replied that no, it's supposed to be 20 pilots for chapters 1, 2, and 3, and 16 for chapter 4. So I corrected my rule book, or my optional rules here, to indicate that, and hopefully they can get that, as well as the misprint on the table, corrected for the what I'm sure will be an eventual reprint because this game is so awesome. All right, so anyway, 7 points. That puts us at, I think we had just made the cut for success with our last patrol. So we were at 41. So another 7 points is going to put us at 48, which means we would need to get 65 minus 48. We would need to get 17 points in the last patrol to get excellent. So I don't foresee that happening, given that our best to date has been 11. But you never know. We got super lucky and caught them early enough, but still, even if you get 9 points from isolating tiles, that's another 8 bombers that you got to take down too. And you got to try to stay in the bomber formation area long enough to do that. That'd be quite a tall order. So it looks like we're on track to finish up with a 3rd success result. So yeah, next episode will be the final patrol. Like I said in the last one, kind of a bittersweet moment here. Kind of sad to have to end this campaign, but at the same time looking forward to getting back to Silent War. It's been a while. Been a minute since we played some Silent War, so that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Skies Above Britain. Thank you all for watching. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And that didn't put it on top of the escort markers there. That's better. All right. Cut that, but we're not really going to cut that. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.